G'day, Tragic here, and a mate of mine wanted to run Heroes of Might and Magic 3 on his modern PC, so he asked me how to do it. So I thought I'd just make a video and upload it so I can send it to him and other people if they want it. So basically, there's many ways to run Heroes 3. This is how I do it. So let's get started. I'll try not to make this video 5 hours long. For starters, what you really want is the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 Complete Edition that you get from GOG Games. There is a Complete Edition on Ubisoft, but it's a bit harder to work with because it's sort of linked in with the Ubisoft launcher, and the Heroes on GOG is DRM free. Now, there is a version on Steam called the Heroes 3 HD Edition. This is not the same thing. This does not have the 2 expansions, and there's a bit of contention in the community about the way it looks because they've updated the graphics. The good thing about the Steam version is that it has achievements, which if you're an experienced Heroes 3 player, it just gives a new fun way to play for these achievements. So that's something, it's good. It's a good game, but it's not really the full Heroes thing. The 2 expansions are only available in the Complete Edition, and they're really integral to how people play the game now. They add so many things. So make sure you get that. Now, there is also on GOG Heroes Chronicles. So this is the Heroes Chronicles All Chapters. Now, this is 8 complete separate mini expansions for Heroes 3 that require the Complete Edition, and then new campaigns, complete with cutscenes and really cool story. These are better than the original campaigns. They're a third-party thing, so they're a bit after Heroes 3, but they are actually official. They were commissioned by New World Computing. Then there is Horns of the Abyss. So Horns of the Abyss is a mod for Heroes 3. It's not a normal mod. When I think of modding, I think of like the Skyrim mod scene. So there are really bizarre, fanciful mods for Heroes 3. Like if you want to play as Doctor Who and you want to fight Daleks and all that kind of stuff, or you want to do like a Star Trek away team mission version of Heroes 3, there are mods that let you do this. But Horns of the Abyss is basically the 3rd expansion. And what I mean by that is that the guys who make Horns of the Abyss, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, are basically the modern developers and curators of Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Horns of the Abyss is an official expansion as far as I'm concerned. The entire online competitive scene uses Horns of the Abyss. There's 2 factions have been added already. It's got all balance changes. It's got like a whole host of new artifacts and like multi-part artifacts and all sorts of things, multiple different types of grails. It's just got tons of stuff. And the whole point of these guys' sort of mantra, like what they're trying to do is just continues Heroes 3. It's still the same game. It plays the same. It feels the same. Everything feels canonically part of Heroes 3. You're not going to get AT-AT walkers suddenly turn up in the Horn of the Abyss mod and stuff like that. So basically what I'm trying to say here, that Horns of the Abyss is official as far as I'm concerned. Now with GOG, it's so official that it's actually part of the GOG mod program, which means that if you are using GOG Galaxy, you can simply install Heroes 3, then install, the Chronicles if you have it, and then install Horde of the Abyss, and GOG Galaxy will sort it all out for you, and bam, you're pretty much ready to go. That's not how I play with it, but that is an option. And to be honest, I've never actually done it, but I do know that Horns of the Abyss is part of GOG and can be installed through GOG Galaxy to avoid everything I'm about to tell you. So that's basically that. So let's talk about how I do it. Now, there's many ways to do it. There's basically 2 ways to play Heroes 3, and that is through the HD Plus mod, which is a mod that adds HD features like widescreen. It adds all these interface improvements, and it's incredibly cool. Or there's something called VCIM. Now, VCIM is a source port where they've completely written from scratch a new game engine that simply utilizes the Heroes 3 assets. So similar to like a Doom source port, if you've ever played a Doom source port. And what's great about VCIM is, apart from the fact that it's got its own modding architecture and all this kind of stuff, is that it runs on everything natively, like Linux, Android, iOS. You can put it on your phone, your tablets, anything. The downside of VCIM is that because it has its own internal mod structure because of the way the engine works, big, massive mods like, say, Horns of the Abyss or Secrets of Thalia or whatever, they are sort of behind the release because once they're released, they need to be converted to VCIM. So at the time of making this video, the most recent version of Horns of the Abyss is not available in VCIM yet. So if you play just on VCIM, you're not getting the latest Horns of the Abyss, for example. But there is a way around that as well, and I'll get straight to it. Now that we've got a little background, first thing what you need to do is to go into your GOG area and come down to Heroes 3 Complete. Open up this little thing that says download offline backup installers and download all three of these options. So there's part 1, part 2, and a patch. And if you have Chronicles, you need to download all of them. There'll be like 8 of them. Same thing, click on download offline backups and download them. Now there is a caveat here, unfortunately, which I have to say. At the time of making this particular video, they have literally just updated all the setup packages, and the new setup packages haven't yet been integrated into the mod launcher that we're going to be using. That means the mod launcher won't recognize these particular ones. I told you to download these because, you know, in like a week or 2 weeks, they'll work. But for now, you need to use this link here, which I'll have in the description of the YouTube video, which downloads all the chapters, all the Heroes Chronicle chapters in a single installer. So you need to be logged into GOG and then just paste this link into your browser or something and download that, and that'll work. But in the future, you can just use the normal downloads just like before. So once you've all downloaded that, just go to Duck and type in Heroes Launcher and go to the GitHub here. And we're going to be using Heroes Launcher, which to set everything up. So just click on that heroeslauncher.exe and you're ready to go. Now this thing here you're looking at, this is called Total Commander. It's just a file manager system that I use. I've been using it since DOS days, since before Windows actually existed. People who use Linux might know Midnight Commander. It's awesome. Anyway, whatever, the point is, it's just a file manager. So I've made a directory on D drives called D Drive Games. I've made a directory called Heroes 3. And on my desktop, I've downloaded all those patches, okay? So the first thing we need to do is come down and install Heroes 3. So we just run the setup, go down to options. I'm gonna go browse. I'm gonna go to D Drives Hero 3, and I'm gonna type it into _complete edition. Okay. No, I'll do an integrity check, but I won't create desktop icons, and you've got to say yes to the EULA, and bam, that installs. Okay, we'll just hit exit. Then I'm just going to run the patch as well. This will most likely say it's already patched, but if it doesn't, just run it just in case. I'm already up to date, so I'm fine, that's good. Next, I'm going to run Heroes Launcher and install that. Let's run that, only for me. And I'm going to put this into the same directory. So D Drive, Games, Heroes 3. Okay, I'm just going to type in here _launcher and install that, blammo. And then I'm going to run the launcher, boink. And this is what the launcher looks like when you first open it. So what this launcher is basically a way to manage multiple versions of the game and set it up however you particularly like it. First thing we need to do is click on SOD. This is Shadow of Death, which is the name of the second expansion. This is the official vanilla version of Heroes 3. Now, even though you've installed it, it's got a little button here that says install, and that's because this is going to download the HD Plus mod and get that all set up so you can run vanilla through the HD Plus mod. So we just hit install. We come down, we select our folder, which is D Drive Heroes 3 Complete Edition. We just select that and hit installation, and it'll download the mod and get everything working exactly how we want it. A good idea when you've done this is to just check for updates. No updates found. And then just open the HD mod settings. And we'll just do an update there as well. So that has now been updated. And here you can change it to whatever you want. Bilinen, the 2x sharpener, 16 threads is pretty good. A lot of people like to use OpenGL by Vorik and do BRZ by 2 plus Hermite. It's whatever your personal preference is. Maximize window, I always have clicked. And you can actually even add your own extra plugins, like you can put in new spells, and you can put in the SOD SP. If you're playing basically vanilla, you can add in SOD SP. This is a plugin that gives you sort of extra functionality in the UI. A lot of people like that. You don't need to use that with other mods because it's sort of built in. And that's pretty much that. You can then do the launch through here, or you can even create a executable that creates an HD executable, which you can then use to link to your start menu or whatever, but I don't bother with that. And also I go into launcher settings and I just click close after launching game, and bam, and there we go. So now the game's working and it's the default vanilla version of the game. Everything's cool. Now, these are the other options. First thing, there's Era, which is basically a mod architecture project. This is the version of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 you want to use if you want to have really full-on game-changing mods, like, you know, adding 5,000 new types of monsters, or, you know, you want to play as Doctor Who, or you want, these are all real mods, or, you know, you want to have like 50 different types of towns with their own monsters or whatever. This is what you want to do it in Era. So we're going to hit install. We browse to our installed directory, the complete edition, and then we click this little button that says install Era into its own folder. And we just start that installation. So if we come to our directory, we now have complete edition here, which is basically our sort of default version. And it's created Heroes 3 Era, and every version of it we install through this launcher will basically have another one down here. Don't worry, Heroes is only like, you know, a gig or something, you know, like if you download a YouTube video, it'll be like twice the size as this directory. So we'll just let that install. Once again, after the first install, I just go check for updates, no updates available, and then I open up the HD mod, and I also do an update there, just in case there is an update, which in this case there is, because we know that from the first time. And I also go to launcher settings and set close after launching. And now this Era is ready to play. So Era is its own thing, but it also has mod architecture. You have a mod manager here, which you can click on. And you want to use this. Basically, it's got this button called sort, which is important. You click that and it just sort of uses like a priority list online to sort your mods into a load order that will make them run when you have multiple mods installed. You can see it comes with a whole bunch of mods installed and some other options. But if you go to the mod browser, you can actually download an absolute metric ton of amazing mods. You can sort them by category, platforms, localizations, interfaces, graphics, you know, expansions, cheats, whatever, you know what I mean? And that is Era. That's how you use Era, which has the Wrath of the Gods mod stuff in it. So if I hit play here, you can see it's very different looking at the start. And you've got millions and millions and millions of settings, especially if you look at the WOG settings. I mean, it's insane. Okay. So when you're installing mods, make sure you read the description, because, you know, so if you're installing like many towns, I think it's called, which adds like heaps and heaps of different types of towns. You want to make sure that you set the WOG settings so it'll work and stuff like that. So that's Era, which, to be honest, I don't really use very much. There is Master of Puppets, which is a very big mod. It's kind of like HOTA, except it is not as... It's like its own thing. So again, it's the same deal. We just hit install. We select our complete edition folder. We click on install into a new folder. Make sure you always do that. And we'll start that installation. And now we'll have Master of Puppets, which is one of the big major versions of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 you can play. Again, after install, I just check for updates, and you can see that Master of Puppets has its own configuration. It doesn't use the HD mod. So make sure you have fiddle with that if you want to enable VSync, or, maintain the aspect ratio if you like the square ability section. It's got its own area for hotkeys. So it's a very different beast. Now we have the big one, HOTA. So Horns of the Abyss, as I said, is the way to play in my opinion. This is what you want to be using, okay? So again, we just hit install. We browse to our installed directory of the base game. Make sure we click into the new folder and hit start installation, and down it comes. And if we look at our folder, you can see that it's just added versions in, okay? So once this is all installed, we don't really need to use the mod launcher if we don't want. I just use the mod launcher because it turns the install process into a single click. I just click the install button and it does it. It installs the HD mod, sets it up, it builds the exes, it does all the things that the modders have to do manually if they're doing it themselves. The important thing is that this actually sources the Horns of the Abyss mod from the repo, meaning it is completely up to date. Okay, and again, we just check for updates, and we go to the HD mod settings and do an update there in this case. Once again, I'm just going to change that to Vorik, and in the launcher settings, I'm just going to close after game. And once again, we have the game set up, ready to rock, and it is now Horns of the Abyss. Now, if I go into campaign, you can see only the Horns of the Abyss campaign is there. And that is because if you want to play vanilla, the vanilla campaigns or the Heroes Chronicles campaigns, because Horns of the Abyss is it changes so much, a lot of those scripting of those original campaigns don't quite work. There are mods you can install that sort of update it, but I think the best thing to do is just to play the vanilla version. That's why I installed it. But anyway, that's Horns of the Abyss. And that's basically the one you always want to use. Finally, there is VCIM. Now, VCIM, as I said, is a source port, and in my opinion, is the best way to play this game. The only drawback is that the big mods like HOTA are slightly slower getting ported to this version of the engine. So you can just go straight to here and just type in VCIM Heroes. If you just download this and install it, instead of installing the launcher, you can just run VCIM if you like. But we're using the launcher to install it, just like everything else. So we go install, we select our Heroes 3D, and we make sure it's clicked to install to a new location, and bam. Okay, and once again, we just do the check for updates. And in this case, we actually need to run the VCIM to set up VCIM itself, which is basically its own launcher. So we click on that, up it'll come. I'm going to select English. Next. You can see you can install Wake of the Gods here. You can install Horn of the Abyss here. Let's click them. Why not? Doesn't matter. We'll just hit finish. And it'll install those things. I'll change the mod list to installed, and we can just watch these things install. So the first thing it's downloading is VCIM Extras, which I suggest you always have installed. VCIM Extras is just interface improvements that are normally provided by the HD Plus mod. Remember, this is a complete rewrite of the engine, which means that you don't need HD Plus, but HD Plus, as well as doing the HD stuff, also added all these interface improvements, which most players think is second nature now. Many players don't even realize they're not default way it used to play. So VCIM Plus adds those interface features into your Heroes 3 directory. Now remember, this can run on your iPads. They've done the engine completely supports touch screens for phones and pads. It can go on Linux and anything. Okay, so now that this is installed, you've installed all these things. Let's go into press the game. And you can see here you have mod presets. So I'm just going to rename this current preset to vanilla. And then I'm going to create a new preset, which I'm going to call horns. I'm going to make a new preset, which I'm going to call wrath, for Wrath of the Gods. And now if I go back into the mods, you can see on these particular things, they've disabled the stuff. So we are in the wrath one. So I'm going to activate wrath. You can just right click or just hit the enable button down here. And I'm going to enable the VCIM extras. And you can even open these and see the individual mods inside it. I prefer, so for example, here it's got vertical layout. I prefer the default one where it's sort of at the bottom of the combat screen. But you don't want to run Wake of the Gods and Horns of the Abyss is what I'm getting at here. So let's go to Horns and we'll do the same thing. We'll enable VCIM extras and we'll enable Horns of the Abyss, but we'll disable Wake of the Gods. And then we go into vanilla and we disable Wake of the Gods and we disable Horns of the Abyss. And that's basically how I like to set it up. And 90% of the time I play is through VCIM. The other thing you'll note is that you've got import files for the Heroes Chronicles here. So let's do that. Let's import Heroes Chronicles and we'll import it into the vanilla. So we hit import. We come to, I've just saved it to the desktop. Remember, I've downloaded the Heroes Chronicles Complete via the link in the description of this video. But later on, you won't need to do that. Instead, you'll have 8 different setup exes of all the different versions of Heroes, right? So you'll have like here all the different Heroes Chronicles, all different setup files, right? But because we've downloaded it as one thing, we're just going to hit open and install them. Now this takes quite a while to install, and once it's installed, you can see that it's already ticked in the vanilla. And if I go to say my horns, it's not. Okay, and that is basically it. We are now ready to run vanilla. Let's go play, and there it is. So this is the vanilla version. Hit new game, we go campaign. You can see we have the 3 expansions. We can also go campaign custom, and we have all the Chronicle campaigns here as well. Plus, of course, we have, you know, all the various enhancements. But there's a lot more we can do, if we wish, with VCIM. So let's load VCIM up again. If you go into the mod section and we just set it to all mods, you'll notice that there is a whole heap of mods here, right? You can install AI things to make the AIs better or worse or whatever you want to do with the AI. You can install extra graphics, extra creatures. You can install, you know, complete new expansion. You've got graphical improvements, you've got extra heroes, you've got interface changes, you've got like tons and tons and tons of new handcrafted maps. You've been playing Heroes for years and now you want to play a new map that you've never seen before, but you don't like random because random kind of sucks. And bam, you've got maps, you've got big mechanical changes, you've got musical changes. You know, you want to hear the soundtrack redone, you know, by an orchestra. Install Heroes 3 Orchestra. You know, it's got a lot of stuff. And because this is a mod manager, as you saw with, you know, the presets, you can have you can install anything you like and just turn them on and off, and it's not going to affect anything. It's incredibly cool. Just as an example, I like to install diverse battlefields. This basically just adds more battlefields. So when you go into the combat, you've got more ground. That's cool. Let's install that. Okay, let's come down here. I also like to install Enstrix Portrait Pack. He's manually and with help of AI, I think as well, has upscaled a lot of the original portraits, and I think it just looks pretty good. Bam. For those of you that like the Heroes 3 HD remastered stuff, you can actually just install a sort of graphical conversion for the original game through this mod. So you can install the Heroes 3 HD remastered, and this upgrades a lot of the graphics. So let's do that. Now this is a controversial mod. There's a lot of people who don't like these HD remastered graphics. I do like them, so I install them. What? So what? Want to fight about it? This one does take a while to install because it's quite large and there's a lot of small files. So just make sure you just let it do its thing. Okay, so that actually takes quite a while to install, but it's now installed. I'm just going to set this to only installed mods, and you can see there's all that. But if I switch over to horns, I've only got horns and this installed. I haven't installed anything else because, you know, it doesn't need it. And that's pretty much how to use the VCIM launcher. Now, it should be noted that in my opinion, the VCIM launcher is really the best way to play. And for most cases, this is what I always use. The only reason I really use the launcher is for an easy install of the latest version of Horns of the Abyss without having to worry about anything, and also to have a nicely clean install of the pure vanilla game separate as well. So this can actually install Horns, like as you see, it's got the Horns of the Abyss mod. It's just a little bit behind because it needs to be converted to the plugin architecture of VCIM. But, you know, it will get updated. But, you know, I click on vanilla, I hit play, and bam. So I can go new game, campaign, go custom, I do Clash of Dragons, boom, Heroes Chronicles is running, and you know, everything's working. And that, my friends, is how to get Heroes 3 running for the base stuff. Now, there is so much content here that'll take you literally years to play through, but there's more. There's way more. Okay, so they've installed MOP and HOTA and ERA, but there are other massive total conversion mods that you can get online. And the cool thing is, if you go to your directory, you've got the base raw complete edition here that you can use as a base for any install. So if you want to install another big massive mod, you can just do that by creating a new directory. Also, you can bypass the launcher by just linking directly to these executables inside these directories as well. So for example, if you go to the heroes3wog.net, which is like the modding portal, you can find Legacy of Silence in English. So Legacy of Silence is a massive, massive, massive mod for Heroes 3, kind of like Master of Puppets, but it's made by this Korean guy, and it's recently been ported into English. But it's actually for ERA, not for vanilla. That's fine. We use Mod Launcher to set that all up. So we could just download the actual file. You can tell how big this mod is because it's 1.2 gigabytes. Crazy. Now it says beta 2, the version I have. That's because this is a beta 2 of the English language conversion. The actual mod itself is still being developed, obviously, but in Korean, and the Korean version is way ahead. So this is why there's actually a team going to convert this into VCIM as well, but they're waiting for the release 1 of the English edition before they bring it into VCIM. So it's called Legacy of Silence. So we'll just make a new directory. What is it? Legacy of the Silence. And we'll just copy in all that data from the downloaded file. And once this is installed, because this is basically a total conversion, which means it doesn't need a lot of other content, you can actually just run this straight away. And there you go. Legacy of Silence is ready to run. And so now we've got Legacy of Silence installed as well. And there's a lot of other big, massive mods. But the point is, we basically got in our directory here a raw version of the vanilla game that has HD mod all set up, ready to go, which we can copy into any directories you want if you want to install our own mods. We've got Era installed, we've got HOTA installed, Legacy of Silence is now installed, we've got Master of Puppets, and of course we have VCIM, which is my preferred way to play. And that, my friends, is basically how to get Heroes running on Windows. And, you know, if you're using VCIM on Android, and you can enjoy hundreds and bazillions of hours of gameplay with one of the greatest games ever made. Anyway, that's that, and I'll see you guys next time.